Hello, hello, hello. We here? We doing this? Harand, hello. Connor, hello. I don't know if we are twitching. We seem to be YouTubing. It's all go today. Quacko, resub for 10 months. He's definitely here. Good to know. Mo, hello. World, hello. AC, glad you're here. Yo, indeed. Ship it. Like, you've got your JSON parser. Just need a YAML one and a TOML one and an XML one, and you'll have the whole family. Mysterious, hello. Audio today. Audio. In fact, actually, let's hang on. Julian, hello. Coding, hello. Is that audio coming through? I'm playing some audio. I don't know if it's working. Indeed, exciting. Right, well, we're done. We've done audio. Yeah, well, I didn't want it to be too loud. So I just wanted to check I kind of got it working. Okay, nailed it. Okay, so we have an audio file that works on Windows Media Player, which is good, and which is OBS is set up to play it, which is good. Now it's got to smash it into some C++, and away we go. Before I start, thank you very much to Mr. Barry Van for sending me this track and convincing me that the rights are all legit and I don't have to worry about it. Very nice man who emailed me that audio track. Okay, I've literally no idea what I'm going to do today. Well, audio, I guess. I've no idea how to audio, so we're going to figure this out live all together now. We're going to do it. Let's press this button and get this up. Oh, I think that's a little bit. Make this a little bit, bigger than that a little bit. Okay, I think I want to X audio 2. I think, given the choice, I don't think I want to X audio 1. That sounds like a dreadful idea when there's a second one available. You know, somewhere in here it's like, primarily intended for developing high-performance audio engines for games, for game developers who want to add sound effects and background music to their modern games. It's a modern game. It's modern C++. It's modern-ish OpenGL. It's got an audio graph and a mixing engine, low latency. These all sound like things that I want. Compared to Wasapi, for a minimum amount of code, even for complex audio solutions. And this is the bit that I care about. We're gonna see how true this claim is. I'm gonna basically go through the programming guide live and try and figure it out. I could probably ask the Oracle for some sample code, but it seems I'd rather go via the docs first and then resort to the collective knowledge of all mankind afterwards. So I think just start. I suspect we're going to want an audio routine, like something that is called every frame, because presumably we're also going to want to be able to respond to messages, because I suspect, having never done any audio programming really before in my life, let alone in a game, I suspect we're going to want to respond to events to like play sounds. So I think in a bid to put off doing the X audio for as long as possible, we could start with the plumbing, create a sound routine, get that plugged in, check it gets called, yada yada yada, and then something X audio. So let's start at the beginning. Can't remember what it is now. Games routines. Yeah, I really don't know. I do not know. All I know is I'm going to want some I want some code that looks something like this. In fact, it's probably going to be very similar to the input routine. So let's just take some of that, I guess. Input and make that sound. We're basically done. I don't think I'm going to need a window, right? But I will want the message bus and the scheduler, because we're going to need to be able to reschedule ourselves, and we're going to want messages, but the base routine handles that, which we can just override. So I think we're kind of good just to start with this. Buttons aren't working. Sure, I mean, as good a place to start as any. So let's do source game routines, sound routine.cpp. I'll have one of those, move that over there, take in a game routine. Hang on. No Copilot, thank you very much. Too many errors. I'm gonna want I will want one of these, I reckon. Sound routine, and then this is going to call the routine. I think this takes the bus and then the messages that I want to subscribe to, which I guess at the moment is none, because we'll probably want to start playing audio immediately in the menu. So there is a rough approximation of the code on GitHub. I think there's a Nightbot command someone might hopefully run for you. I think it's like bang code or bang git or something like that. It doesn't have the scheduler in it at the moment, but it does have the message bus. I need to find some time to move it over. I will admit that I've been a little bit lazy on that. I think kind of, again, one of the lessons I've learned from this project is people are quite interested in looking at the code themselves, and I should, at least the next project, try and make that easier going forward. So the question is, like, if all the code is in the game namespace, why even bother? I think it's good habit to namespace your code, especially because I've actually built a library effectively and a thin wrapper around it, which drives it. I would say it is kind of good habit to namespace your code, especially if you ever plan on distributing it and it might in any way come in contact with other code. But dealer's choice, right? It's your code, your rules. I would like to move the coroutine-based scheduler over to the open source bit, because I think that is quite interesting and I think a little bit novel, maybe. I'm making the game, right? I'm only writing code that gets us towards the game. So an engine kind of, I guess, slowly forms around it, but I'm not making a generic engine that you can make any game in it. Like, I'm only trying to write code that gets us closer towards making a game. So if you look at like our vector class, it only has the mathematical operators that I need right now. It's not a generic vector class and stuff like that. And then, not that. I can't remember what create tasks looks like now, so let's do input routine. I want something like this, don't I? Like while like this. But I don't want any of this chuff. I just want to basically reschedule myself. And then I'm going to want a log, a message bus, a scheduler, a task, a wait, and I want all those things, all those good things over in here. Okay. I have written so far 8,015 lines of code. And this project literally did start off with int main. So we've written 8,000 lines of code live so far, which I think is pretty good. Okay, so this should now give us the boilerplate to get, hang on, queues. This one. All right, this one should get us going. So the way the coroutine-based scheduler works is there's a little event loop, which you push code. Basically, you yield to. So sorry, it basically uses coroutines. So this will effectively yield us to the scheduler, and the scheduler will take this wait object and basically decide when to reschedule us. So we can basically say, please call me again in like n frames. So this means call me every frame. We could replace this with a Chronos time object, so we can say, hey, call us every 16 milliseconds. And we can also, although we don't really use it yet, say, oh, call me when this other task is finished. So we can kind of chain tasks together. So that's kind of how that works. It's not a lot of code, actually. It's basically all coroutine boilerplate, which there is plenty. And you can also co-wait on a state. So the game has this concept of state, so it's either exiting in the menu, running, that kind of thing. And if you're in a state that doesn't make sense for your current system, effectively, you can say deschedule me, so don't update me until the state changes to something that I want. And that's kind of, it basically removes a lot of the boilerplate of like delta times and like, oh, if I'm being called too soon or being called too not called often, what do I do? This kind of gives all the power to the systems to basically to tell the game when it should run, and kind of all that boilerplate just falls out. So yeah, it's kind of, it means like each of the systems effectively kind of, at least for the moment, don't have to worry too much about like elapsed time, and then like, oh, if I want to be called every 16 milliseconds, I need to like check how long it's been since I was last called, and if it's too soon, wait, that kind of thing. You literally just say, just call me again in this many milliseconds. Yeah, exactly. So in fact, a really good example of this is the menu system, the menu routine. This says call me every 16 milliseconds. So when the game runs, the menu, it starts with an orbiting camera, and I don't want that. I want the orbit speed to be fixed, so not running at the frame rate. I want it to be running always at basically 60 FPS. So this says just schedule me every 1/60th of a second. It's not exactly perfect, but it's kind of good enough. And then, but that's all the boilerplate that's all the code we need to basically force this function to run. So if we had like a physics system, and which you want to run a fixed like deterministic rate, you could also do that. Okay, we've got VSync on anyway at the moment, so like it's always going to run at 60 FPS, but it's kind of good to get these things in now. Okay, let's find the CMake file for this, which is going to be in here, and then we'll do MNOPQRS. I'm a sucker for things being in alphabetical order. Put that in there, and then do let's just make the game. I find that a lot of what you learn comes after university. I think university, it depends what you're studying, right? But I mean, I went a reasonably classic route. I did a master's, a computer science degree and a master's. Right, I mean, linked list coming out of university, didn't really know anything about software engineering or Git or like anything. So university, I think, is good. It gives you a bit of breadth and a bit of depth, but what you actually do on the job, you kind of learn on the job. But I also biased because I went to university when it was cheap. Let's just run it. Let's see if we can get this thing to run. Oh, that's a lot going on. Right, well, as we sit here and watch 122 translation units get chewed through, I guess I could start integrating this into the game. So we'll have routines, sound routine. I suspect we will probably want that scheduled after the input, but before the level. I don't think some of the orders of these do make a difference. Like we always want the render one to be last. Sound routine. What are we doing? Getting there. And that took a boost and a scheduler, didn't it? And then we will scheduler.add sound routine. Oh, here we go. It's go time. That should be. That is not what it did when we last when we left off. It's. Oh, we've crashed. What's going on here? What is? Hold on one moment. Hold the phone. Okay, that's what we should have had. Not gonna think too hard about that. I'm gonna largely pretend it didn't happen. Okay, so it's hard to say what university is like because everyone has a slightly unique experience. I learned an awful lot around like low level, like started off with. It's probably different. I went to university quite a while ago, but I did C, I did C++. No, sorry, I did C, Java, and Haskell in the first year, and then did a little bit of, and then mainly just sort of C after that. And then I picked all the crypto, or most of the crypto and security modules as well. So it's kind of good to implement like stuff like RSA, and I did some compiler theory. You kind of got a good breadth of stuff and a little bit of depth as well. But it's really it's quite a personal choice. And you have to reweigh up whether it's right for you. Please don't let me influence you on whether that's not. I think going forward in the UK especially, like I think apprenticeships might sound pretty good. But again, I don't know enough to really say. Okay, right. So let's quit out that. So let's wire this up now. I think degree apprenticeships sound pretty sweet, right? Because you get a degree and you get paid, right? Or at least you don't get saddled with like the quite high debt level that degrees now sort of lumber you with. I messed around a little bit with C++ at university and a little bit of OpenGL, but basically everything you're seeing me do now, I've learned or taught myself since leaving university and with the experience of doing it professionally. Not game dev professionally, but C++ professionally. Yeah, like the what is it? Like the perfect no, I can't remember. Like, what's the weird crypto games you play? Like, oh my god, my brain is completely dead now. I've got the book. I've got the book somewhere. Introduction to Modern Cryptography. Oh, well, this is it. Like, so again, sorry, this might be a little bit UK focused, but my understanding now is a lot of universities are like virtual. You don't even show up. You just like watch pre-recorded lectures from previous years, which I think is absolutely outrageous for the money you spend. Yeah, I can't remember what's the terminology with crypto. We have the different levels of Oracle, right? Crypto Oracle means absolutely nothing. Cryptography Oracle. So you got the random Oracle. That's it. The Church Turing thesis. Oh man, this all brings back memories. Crypto was interesting. I enjoyed crypto. It was hard, quite theoretical, quite math based. I can't remember. Anyway. Chosen, that's it. Chosen plain text attack, chosen ciphertext attack, that's it. Yeah, there's a lot of good free resources now. For some, like for a lot of places of work, degree is kind of required. I think of a degree is to a certain extent, or I guess I would also consider an apprentice degree a similar thing. Is that you proof that you can commit to something for 3 years or 4 years. That's kind of it's the proof that you have the ability to learn as well, because a lot of university, even if everything was 100% in person, a lot of it still relies on you to go and do the work and figure it out. So it's kind of proof that you have the ability to learn, and proof that you have the ability to teach yourself, and proof that you can kind of commit to something for several years. All right, okay, let's see if this works. It's a tough choice. Like, would I go back and do it? Like, again, I'm very biased because it was very cheap for me to go, and I had a great time, and I made some good friends, and I learned a lot, and I got my first job, which set me on this career path that I'm on now through university. So I would probably personally do it again. Yes, I was the good rates. I was like $3,000 a year rate. Okay, so sound routine ending. So we've got the sound routine wired in. That's good. That's probably worth a commit. So add sound, basic sound routine, integrate sound routine. I think it also wasn't expecting to discuss this today, but I can voice some of my thoughts. I think it really depends on the university as well. Like, they are obviously different. They focus on different things. They specialize in different things. They will have different levels of quality in different areas. So it's a tough one. Yes, things have changed quite a bit since I went to. I graduated 2013. I graduated. So that's 12 years ago. That's wild. That was 12 years of my life gone. Okay, so we got the sound routine. Now we need to probably going to need to do sound things. Let's update my terrible tooling. Get rid of all the errors. Okay, let's look at this. Let's go through this together as a class. Programming guide or getting started? I feel like sport for choice. Let's go with programming guide because it's first. So this section is the overview. So this is the API. So we've got introduction to the key concepts. So X audio concepts, and then common audio concepts, and then setting up the audio and setting up in game. So is this getting started? This getting started. Okay, fine. Let's skim these top to bottom and see where we end up. This feels like a good way as any. Exciting. Yeah, so I mean, I did masters, so then I was at university for 4 years, so you could probably backtrack that to work out roughly how old I am. Why not use STB Vorbis? Because I want to do it from scratch as much as possible, and I kind of want to learn a new API. You might argue that STB Vorbis is pretty low level and pretty from scratch, but I'm kind of interested in, like, how do you actually do it with just the platform? Like, what? I mean, I know it's direct. Is it DirectX? No, it's probably not. It's just its own separate thing. But this is what Windows gives you for doing audio. So I'm kind of interested to see how that works. I don't feel young. Xaudio is a low-level API. It provides signal processing mixing foundation for games, similar to its predecessor Direct Sound and Xaudio. So we're going to throw those into the sea. They're clearly old and rubbish, much like myself. And then we'll move on to the new hotness. It's the long-awaited. I mean, I've been saying this for years. Ever since Direct Sound came out, I've been waiting for Xaudio too. Okay, so it's DSP effects, submixing, combines several sounds into a single audio stream. For an example, an engine sound made up of composite parts, all of which are playing simultaneously. Submixing to process and combine similar parts of a game. For example, you can combine all game sound effects to allow your user volume setting to be applied while separate setting controls music volume. Interesting. Combine with DISP. Submixing provides a type of data routing and processing necessary for today's games. I'm sold. Compressed audio support, blah, 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 multi-rate processing, non-blocking API model is what we want. With few exceptions, an X-Audio2 method call not blocks the audio processing engine. This means that a client can safely make a set of method calls at any time without blocking on long-running calls, causing delays. Nailed it. The exceptions are destroy voice. And the methods that terminate the audio thread, stop engine, and release. When to use X-Audio2? We've been through this. Blah, 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 boring. Done, 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 done. Common audio concepts. I am not an audio engineer. This page is pretty short, so that's good. Subsections. Coordinates of 3D space. Position, velocity, and orientation of sound sources and listeners in 3D space are represented by Cartesian coordinates, which are the values on the 3 axes, the X, Y, Z. We're Cartesian up the wazoo here. The axes are relative to viewpoint established by the application. Nice. Values on the x-axis left to right, on the y-axis down to up, and the z-axis from near to far. Does that mean we need to switch the z-axis? Because that's direct x-way, right? Is this left-hand coordinates? We'll see. We all have endless contempt for contempt, if you will. It's true, it is one way or the other. It'll either get quieter or louder the closer we get to it. Yeah, this would be like the audio, whatever. Okay, fine, that's fine. Sure. I'm sure there's more important information there I need. Perception of sound positions, sound cones, exciting. Factors that influence the perception of sound, like overall loudness. I just want like, I guess the equivalent of like an ambient light pass. I just want ambient sound. It's the same everywhere. I don't want, like the background music is the background music. I don't want orientated sound. So I think a lot of this I don't care about now. I guess like when barrels move and we want like a scraping sound, that should be positioned within the world, and I might need to cone it up. It's all about the cones. Okay, getting started. So let's do this. I want some code. I want to write some code. Okay, apparently I need more key concepts first before they let me get to the code, and then the versions, because obviously it's Microsoft, so there's gonna be subversions. I'm not sure the question. Like, I'm going to try X-Audio2, and there's nothing like trying it live in front of like a bunch of people. So let's give it a go. Oh my goodness! Right. The iX-Audio2 interface is the core of the X-Audio2 engine, so I'm presumably going to want one of those, and it's almost certainly going to be COM. Create an instance of the iX-Audio interface that allows the client to enumerate the available audio devices, interesting, to configure global API properties, to create voices, and to monitor performance. The X-Audio2 create help function performs instantiation and initialization tasks for X-Audio2. So I'm going to want one of these at some point. You can create instances of X-Audio2 multiple times within a single process. Each has its own audio processing thread, only the debug settings ship. Right, for example, I feel like I just want to just jump to this, right? I suppose I better just check what it means by versions. Cross-platform API that is shipped for use on Xbox 360. So we're going to be ready to ship to the 360 at the end of this. And XP, exciting. This is on Windows XP must remember to link that. We're going to get a link error, and I'll be like, oh, I forgot to link it. Windows 10 and redistributed for Windows 7. I presume I want the latest and greatest. Ships as part of Windows 10. I'm on 11. That's fine. Oh, like this is, I've been waiting for the create for Apo function for years. I've not been able to create my HUT Apos for up until up until now. Don't care about any of that. Right, give me some code. Give me some code. Christopher, no, that's not something I've done, so I'm afraid I cannot provide any insight into that. However, if you're interested, and always pop over to the Discord and ask there. I'm sure there'll be people who have done something similar or are interested in that. I do. One does Ghidra. Okay. You initialize X-Audio 2 audio playback by creating an instance of the X-Audio 2 engine and then creating a mastering voice. First, you need to have initialized COM. Done. Check. Tick. If you're using C++ WinRT, which I'm not, then it's taken care of. If you're not certain and your environment already is initialized COM, then you can call co-initialize X. We've co-initialized that X. To create an instance of the X-Audio 2 engine, call the X-Audio 2 create function that will give you a pointer to an iX-Audio 2 interface, and it's a good idea to store that in a class data member. Thanks. Thanks for telling me how to architect my code. Ugh. Right, okay. So I'm not using WinRT, but WinRT is like a modern C++ 17 wrapping around the Windows APIs. I've never used it. Apparently it's quite good. So we will have to mentally substitute all this gubbins for our own stuff. Are you implementing some sort of X-Audio interface or are you hard coding the API calls? I will wrap it. I am a big fan of abstraction. We'll abstract the crap out of this. Okay, I want to see the real docs. We're here. We are this many tabs in, and we have finally reached the first function we need to call. Creates a new X-Audio object and returns the pointer to its iX-Audio 2 interface. So we're going to have a start pp X-Audio 2, one of my favorites. Some flags, and then the processor. Are you going to give me some sample? Oh, Jesus. This is a pretty big warning. If you specify X-Audio 2 any processor, the system will use all of the device's processors, and as noted above, create a workset to reach them. So any processor means all processors. Pro tip. Specifying a processor should generally be avoided because it can interfere with the scheduler's ability to schedule threads effectively across processors. Instead, pass default processor. Okay, I'm glad you gave me a choice, but thank you for telling me that I should ignore all the options you give me and just use default. Return socket if successful. Okay, the direct access supports the flags. Debug engine to step between the release and checked version. This flag is not supported or defined on Windows. Oh man, you absolutely stuffed if you're on Windows 8. I like how very specifically on Windows 8 you do not get the debug versions. No versions of the direct SDK contain the import library. Okay, we got a header and we got a library. Let's move this over here. I'm just gonna start. I think I might want Pimple for this, just to keep all the misery inside the sound routine. So let's go ahead and set up Pimple. What's one more memory allocation between friends? Struct implementation and then stirred unique pointer implementation import. Okay, give me one of those. I'm also going to have to move this over to the CPP file because otherwise it will get grumpy. Okay, let's I have tilted incorrectly. Okay, so inside name we're going to have struct implementation, and then over here we'll have import make unique implementation. Male unique, not what I wanted. Oh man, I fat fingered that. It's not a good day today. It's not a good day. What have I? Oh, I've been stupid. Oh, I got a name. Of course. Sorry. There you go. Sorry, I had it incorrectly namespaced. I just declared a struct called implementation, and I'd not told the compiler that it is in fact this implementation I was defining. There, like all things programming, there is no best way. There is probably better ways depending on what your needs are, or at least if there is a best way, it'll be very tailored to your specific needs. For me, best is going through the process of learning a new API, trying to do something low level, working with the platform, writing some C++ abstractions. That is better for me because that's the kind of entertainment I'm trying to provide. Okay, so in here we are going to want, I'll have one IX audio, please. So I'll have an X. That's where I haven't got the SDK installed or something, and I'm missing the header files. I will link it whilst I remember. Sorry, my big dome's in the way. Target compile. Where do I put all the other chuff? I want X audio 2. Okay, so in here, I will have one IX audio 2. X audio, I guess. I'm not really sure how to release this yet. How does one? I don't think is the doc. Oh Jesus, I'm there. How does one undo this? Is there a free? We got Xaudio create. Wasn't there an Xaudio 2 release? So I want to start building out. I'm probably going to need. It's literally not. There's just a create, but like. Before I construct this, I'd like to know how I destruct it. It's literally not in there. Normally it tells you, and I find it very hard to believe that there's nothing I have to do for this. If it's just going to give me like a random pointer. because their example here uses a com pointer. Do I just need to call release on it the same way I did? Is it the same as the text factory? Don't I have like a lambda in here somewhere which does something like this? Yeah, is it this? Because presumably import X audio. There is a release. I'm going to assume I want that. There is a link. Hang on. Let's see. Oh, there is a release method inside. Release a reference text. Sorry, let me try and read this along with the class. When the final release is called on a given order, all voice objects are associated with destroyed. Any points to release is a synchronous call, while glitching should not occur. Okay, nailed it. Okay, fine. So I think we can just yoink that, stick that in an anonymous namespace at the top. I'll have one of those. And then we should be able to actually then wang this into a stirred unique pointer, xaudio2 with a decal type release. I don't need a pointer to that anymore because it is in and of itself a smart pointer. Sure about that. There you go. Fix most things by just making them context, bro. Okay, so now let's do this. Nope, I've lost me. So I want a. Hang on. Did I put it into utils? Keep moving stuff around. All right, yeah, that sounds like what I want. Okay. So we've made that, and then we're in the constructor now. We'll do ensure X audio to create. Oh, that's a create with version info. Oh, tempting. That's wrong because it says it takes some flags. Stirred out pointer. Import X audio, and then the flag I definitely want the make it work nice flag, which is that. And then what do I want for the final argument? Oh, interesting. That's the processor, not flag. The value of this parameter must be 0. No flags for you. No flags for you. Classic Microsoft. Check that is socket. Otherwise, failed to create X audio 2. What have I done? Oh yes, thank you. Could not see that. We got there in the end, guys. We got there. Let's see if this blends. Of course, it's still got to take the audio file and somehow smash it into the resource pack and then pull that out. So we're going to have to add a whole new path through the resource pack to be able to identify audio files. This is an OGG, which I believe is good, or at least nearly an anagram of. My build system really doesn't want to play ball today. This is quite upsetting. Give it a second to see if it figures itself out. One day they might need that argument. I am not an audio engineer. I'm prepared to make concessions around file formats, so I'll either bring in an OGG processor or convert it to something that is easier. I need to see how you like how data is smashed into the X Audio API first, and then I can figure out what shape that needs to be in, and then I can kind of work my way backwards from there. Again, like I want to do everything from scratch apart from parsing file formats, which I think is probably more. I don't think there's a lot of gain in that. We're linking. We've linked. We've started. This is where like the speakers are like. Arr. Okay. That did. I mean, we created an X Audio object. We've done it. Like, ship it. So it needs to be a pick'em or add pick'em format. Let's just wire this up. So initial creation of X Audio 2. Lots of commits today. Commit heavy. Good job. Hashes are cheap. Okay. So what now? What's next on our guide to programming? To create an instance that is done. Tick. Done. In the bag. Completed it, mate. Next, to create what's known as a mastering voice, call the create mastering voice method. This will give you a pointer to a X Audio 2 mastering voice interface. A mastering voices, should that be capitalized there? A mastering voices encapsulates an audio device. It's the ultimate destination for all audio that passes through an audio graph. That's really funny, Harand. Who knows? This is a voyage of discovery for all. All I know is I want a mastering voice. I think I only want one. I think this might be a typo. So right, let's have a look at the create mastering voices function. So this is, by the way, this is like I'm just going through live how I figure out new APIs. I sort of go through the docs, find some APIs, write some code, see what happens, run it. Like this is literally, I've never used this API before. This is pretty much how I do things. We won't have to stream from the disk because I basically load all the resources into memory at the start because I don't have a lot of them. So by the time X Audio is created, all the resources should have been parsed and loaded. It's not great, but it sure is easy. Oh yeah, they've got this new AI thing in there. I tried it once and I was like, how do I hook the IAT? And they're like, I can't tell you that. I was like, well, you're useless. Okay, that's a lot of things. So we're going to get the PP mastering voice, which will be the out param. Yep, nailed it. Channels, sample rate, flags, could be 0. The SZ device ID, the P effect chain, And then the stream category kind of, okay. Got a wide string there as well. Keep an eye out for that. Cheeky wide string. If successful, returns pointed to number of channels the mastering voice expects. Input channels must be less than or equal to X audio match channels. You can set input channels to default channels, which causes try to detect the system. I think that's what I want. I think I want default as much as possible for at least the first iteration. Sample rate. Oh, I don't even. I mean, I don't have to read this. Default. Like it's like Windows XP is this. Vista and 7 default to the settings. The default for this settings is that. I mean, I guess gets who knows what it is after that. Gave up documenting at that point. Flags that specify the hey, this can be 0 or no virtual audio client, to which it gives you no indication as to what this is. I assume it's further down. It's like it can be 0 or this magical flag. Good luck. Identify the device to receive the output audio, specifying the default value of no. Let me start that again. Specifying the default value of null causes X-Audio2 to select the global default audio device. On 10 or later, null will also opt into the Wasapi virtualized client unless no virtual audio client is passed in flags. Okay, that gives me no further indication as to whether that's the thing that I want or not. I know that I can opt in or opt out of the Wasapi virtualized client. I'm going to go with no. I think I want defaults and to opt into nothing. Pointed to an X-Audio effects chain that describes effect chains to use, or null to use no effects. That's what we want. All right. All these classic Windows programming, all these arguments are going to be null. Returns socket if it's successful. Mastering voices receive the output of one or more sources or submix voices. They process the data and send it to the audio output device. So this is effectively the interface to the speaker, as my understanding of it. You send stuff to you construct this around some sort of device with various like customizations around the number of channels and the sample rate, blah 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 blah. And then at some point you're going to send. So behind this will be some sort of hardware. This is the abstraction over the hardware, right? So you will send audio data to this, and then it will figure out how to presumably make the magnets vibrate, or pass it onto the hardware to do that. Mastering voices. Typically, you should create a master voice for an input sample that will be used by. You cannot create a source or submix until a mastering voice exists. You cannot destroy a mastering voice if any source or submix exists. So there's a dependency order for destruction. Then I cannot destroy the mastering voice if any source or submix voice still exists. The fact that I cannot create a source or submix until I have a mastering voice suggests that the mastering voice itself in API, this will be to create those sub-objects, and then I need to basically reverse destruct them. Only allows one mastering voice to exist at once. That's fine because we're just a routine that gets created at the beginning of the game. Need to create additional instance. Okay, when first created, mastering voices are in the started state. So we are about 2/3, maybe 3/4 of the way through the documentation, and it's now just introducing this new concept called a state and telling me what it starts in. Cool, I'll remember that. That sounds important. It's invalid to call create master voice within a callback. That is through one of these. That's fine. No, don't plan on doing it because I don't know what these are yet. It's interesting that it keeps mentioning the DirectX SDK X-Audio2 version. So they must have two different implementations of this. It sounds like there's a DirectX implementation and maybe like a COM implementation. I wonder if this is maybe for consoles. I don't know. Okay. Strawberry orange what? Fruit, I guess. Lua level that we made? I don't really know. It boldly claims it is cross-platform and then says the only other platform it works on is Xbox. So I guess it is technically cross-platform between the two platforms Microsoft create. Yeah. I've been a professional software engineer for a decade now, I think, probably about so. Not doing any of this. This is just fun. This is for funsies. Windows Phone. Oh man, we're going to be everywhere. Yeah, but like what I'm saying is it's just introduced this concept called state and then giving me like a random enum that it's in or whatever. And like it's not mentioned that up until now. So it's obviously something important to do with the function to the semantics of that object. And it's taken like 3/4 of the way through the docs to be like, oh yeah, don't forget this. So how do I'm going to assume from a create mastering voice. So let's just look at whilst I get one of these out, I assume this also needs releasing. If it's a COM object, it will need releasing. Interesting, it only has this one method on it, presumably in addition to the COM ones like getRef and addRef and release from the classic IUnknown. You must have to pass this into something else then. Whatever. Let's just write up and let's just roll with it. So I want a IX Audio 2 mastering voice, and we'll call this the mastering voice because that's fun to type out, if I can spell it right. And then from here, we will ensure that the impl X audio create mastering voice stood out pointer impl mastering voice, and then it's basically like I'll have one of these. I'll have one of these. And then I'll have definitely have a 0 for the flags. That sounds like a good plan. Then I'll have a null pointer for that. And then I'll have a null pointer for that. And then I'll have a null pointer for that. Yeah, it's and let's check that equals okay, otherwise failed to create mastering voice. Okay, what was the... Oh, interesting. Okay, fine. So I missed this one here. This is an object, so it's not a pointer. And then it's like, it's optional, but it doesn't tell you what optional looks like for a value type. I am British, yes. When do you use unique shared versus raw pointer? So smart pointers model ownership. So that's basically, I would say, I'm hesitant to give out like, you know, thou shalt do this or thou shalt not do that advice, because it obviously always depends. But by and large, you want to avoid raw news and deletes. You want to avoid manual memory management. You want to model ownership, right? So if there's a point where there is a single owner of the object, then you want to use a unique pointer, which makes sure that when it goes out of scope, it automatically the memory gets reclaimed. And then if you've got shared ownership, you want to use a share pointer. That being said, I would say 99% of the time you want unique pointer. I've come across very few, in fact, I can't even think of a situation off the top of my head now where shared pointer is the right option. I'm just not saying it isn't, but shared pointer is very easy to use, and it kind of means you don't have to think about your memory hierarchy or your ownership kind of chain. Raw pointers should be used for non-owning semantics. So if an object, so if you have a function which wants to operate on something that's been dynamically allocated, like peek at it effectively, operate on it, but not take ownership of it, then you should pass in a raw pointer. In fact, you should take the copy the raw point. You should pass the raw pointer from the unique pointer into that, because there's no point passing a unique pointer by const ref. It's kind of it's weird to look at. So most of the time, I would say if you write your code like that, then you can quickly see that when there's a raw pointer, it's non-owning. When you see unique pointer, it models unique ownership at that point. Whirlwind sort of brain dump of that, but good question. Right, what am I doing with this? What is this? It's not even right. This irks me. It's not even giving me a link to the type, which is that is a little bit rude. Okay, how is this optional? Yeah, but like in that case, right? Why would you not pre-allocate all those chunks, then just pass out of those space, and then just have raw pointers, or have a parent node which owns the surrounding children? Like, there's lots of. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's. I'm not saying your example is wrong without further context, but like normally, if you think about it a little bit, you can normally pull out a unique pointer somewhere. Anyway, this is really upsetting me now because the docs were doing pretty well. Here we go. Nope. So, literally nothing. How can you? How rude. Right, I guess I need to figure out. This isn't particularly enlightening either. The audio stream category enum specifies the category of an audio stream. Game sound effects, background. I assume I want this, but this is for the master thing. I can be putting any audio through this. I would agree. I would say the majority of SharePoint usages are wrong. It's a strong word to use, but like could be refactored out, because SharePointers aren't free. Okay, they internally they have an atomic reference count, so you're paying for an atomic increment and decrement every time they go in, every time they get copied or go out of scope. I feel like this is the wrong thing, because this is for whatever this nonsense is. How outrageous! Unless it means optional, like, has it got some sort of weird like overload? Release is not interesting. Okay. So do I not need to release it then? You say so. I wonder if releasing this releases this. I need to get rid of this out pointer. Just get the old double pointer going. Classic. You're right, there was a mention of destroying voices. Wasn't there a specific method? Isn't the destroy voice method? I need to have a look at that. Okay, well, so in fact, does impl do this? No, okay. How interesting. Volatile, I think, is often misunderstood. It has nothing to do with thread safety, really. It's just telling the compiler that there's something very specific at this address. Well, yeah, I mean, I think the net effect is that it means don't optimize it, but what it's really saying is that there's something very specific at this address, and you should be careful what you do with it, and you should respect that. Yeah, I mean, this is just, I'd say there's a reasonably standard amount of parameters and stuff for Windows programming, but yeah, it is interesting. So we've got mastering voice. Interesting. Does it have to destroy itself? That's rude. Oh, it's a destructor. Or is that just my... No, that's my terrible tooling. Destroys this voice. Gross. Okay, that's fine. So we do const expra auto release destroy voice equals auto obj destroy voice, and then this can just go. Ugh, outrageous! I've just got rid of all this. Make unique decal type destroy voice destroy the void. Okay, fine, I'll fix that in a second. That doesn't need to be that. That doesn't need to be that. Void voice. And then this means this. Not my best typing today. It's normally, I mean, it's normally pretty abysmal anyway. Third out pointer. Get that. Prefer that. Right. Okay. Yes, I'm given to understand that volatile is useful for embedded programming. Like, though there's something lives at this address. I've mapped something in. Okay, so we are slowly doing it. Okay, what's next on our list? Mastering voice. Tick. Oh, and then it just ends. That's oh, I suppose it's just how to initialize. Okay, I can't be coming to getting started with Xcode 2, how to load audio data files in Xcode 2. I think that's what we want. Is that audio data files, load audio data files into, I think. So we need to load some data in. Okay, this concept applies only to desktop apps and would require revision in order to function. Well, we're not OOP apping, so that's fine. Please refer to the documentation of CryptFile2. To populate the structure required to play audio data in Xcode 2, you can load or stream an audio file, or you can generate a waveform of your own and represent that waveform as samples in a buffer. I have very little opinion on restrict. I would argue that if it was that important, it probably would have been standardized. Like, I guess there's some slight optimization it can do because you know that the point. No, because isn't it? No, sorry, I'm thinking of the strict aliasing rule. Yeah, I guess there potentially might be some micro optimization it can do, but obviously it's not so important that they haven't standardized it. I guess that's as far as my opinion goes on it. This topic focuses on the method of loading an audio file. The following steps load the format and data chunks of an audio file, then use them to populate a WAV format extensible structure and an X-Audio2 buffer structure. Classic Windows, all uppercase, super shouty and angry. Preparing. I'm prepared. Don't worry, Windows. I'm prepared to pass the audio file. Audio files supported by X-Audio2 are formatted with the resource interchange file format, RIF. RIF is described in this topic. Audio data in a RIF file is loaded by finding the RIF chunk and then looping through the chunks to find individual chunks contained in the RIF chunk. The following functions are examples of code to find chunks and load data contained in the chunks. Chunk. Okay, so X-Audio2 can play WAV files. So is this where it comes from? Like, so do I riff? Do I WAV? Oh, I like the way they've opted to not syntax highlight any of this. That's WAV contains riff. Well, there we go. Why not anything? Because this API doesn't seem to support it, and I don't have one. Doesn't mean I can't get one. To read data in a chat. Okay. Oh my goodness. Right. Classic. Find chunk. I like how also the code's sort of this is useless. This is really hard to parse. Find the chunk. Read file, read file. So we can get rid of a bunch of this because we'll probably already have it loaded in memory. So we'll just have a span that will kind of iterate over it. I assume this is basically just looking for these magic bits of data. Okay. So we're going to read from the file. Yeah, I might have to copy this in. So it's going to read from the file one D word. And then it's going to read from the file another D word. So it's going to read the chunk type and the chunk data size. Okay, so the chunks are tuples of type and size. It's then going to say, hey, if it's this type, read this, else advance past it. Okay, so this is fine. This is just iterating through chunks looking for the 4cc riff. I heard much better than the 3cc riff, but not quite as good as the 5cc riff. What the hell are all these other ones for then? Okay, to read data in a chunk after it's been located. So this just finds the chunk. Once a desired chunk is found, with no indication of what would make it desirable, its data can be read by adjusting the file pointer to the beginning of the data center of the chunk, a function to read the data from a chunk once it's found. Okay, so this is just passing out chunks of data. That's fine. So populating X-Audio2 with the contents of riff chunks. In order for X-Audio2 to play audio with a source voice, it needs a wave format X structure and an X-Audio2 buffer structure. The wave format X structure may be a larger structure, such as this, that contains this as its first member. See the virtual. Oh, you don't make this easy, dude. The waveform structure may be a larger structure. Okay, fine. So it's basically just saying that this might be the first. It's either this structure or this is the first member of a larger structure. That's fine. That's a good point, actually. We could. My early Xaudio 2 experience so far, I'd say, is pretty good. Like it's just pretty standard Windows programming so far, with some com. Can't really complain. So yeah, Quecco's suggestion might be worth us just doing all this chuff in the resource packer and then just slamming the chunks that we need. Basically, probably pre-processing these structures and sticking them in the resource pack. Why would I be? That don't unnecessarily mean. The following steps illustrate using the functions described above to populate the waveform extensible structure and an Xaudio 2 buffer structure. In this case, the audio field being loaded contains PCM data and will only contain a RIF format and data chunk. Other formats may contain additional chunks as described in this. So I probably need to go through this. Rather than that. Thank you. All right. Declare these. Open the audio file with create file. Locate the RIF chunk. Locate the format trunk. Locate the data chunk. Populate a buffer structure. Oh, here you go. What's this? A simple Xaudio 2 project in full. Why would you not start with that? Ugh, gross. What is all this? Just okay, fine. I regret. No, fine. I understand why you didn't start with that. Yeah, I always used Firefox for years. Google has enough of my information. This overview describes the resource interchange file format, which is used in WAV files. RIF is the typical format from which audio data for Xaudio will be loaded. So I need to RIF on my OGG. The fork identifiers. The type of data in a chunk is indicated by a 4-character code identifier. A fork is a 32-bit unsigned integer created by concatenating 4 ASCII characters used to identify chunk types in a RIF file. For example, the 4cc ABCD is represented on the engine as 6462. So I want a PCM file, which is actually a WAV file, which is actually a RIF file. Is that am I interpreting that right? How does one convert OGG to PCM? Like what do I want to convert to? Do I want to convert to a PCM and then wrap that in a WAV, then wrap that in a RIF, or do I just smash cut straight to a RIF and hope it works? PCM RIF data in the WAV. Right, okay, so I want convert OGG to RIF. OGG to WAV converter. I mean, I guess I just use this free online tool and hope for the best. I can FFmpeg, can I? Okay, so let's do this. Let's copy. This to home. me projects game asset. Stick this in here. So I have in assets, just called it main theme. So this is indeed org data. So we think it's ffmpeg I assets main theme, and then just do what assets main theme dot wav. File assets main theme dot wav. Okay, we got a little Indian riff with Wave PCM. I mean, it's got all the keywords in it. Like, nailed it, right? It's got all the. Okay, so now I need to have a think, because what do we want? I might just try loading this off the disk to start with. I think that would be sensible. And then we can, because packing it into the resources it's just like boring mechanics. I'm not that fussed about doing it. So I'll be launching the game from here. So what does my make file do when it's at home? Let me run. So we'll run it from this directory. So let's go file. I don't think I've moved that anywhere sensible yet. Let's do const auto audio file equals file assets main theme dot wav. Just check that blends. I've no idea. I don't know how any of this works. I'm just making this up as I go along. Okay, so the file, we can access the file, which is good. So then I think we can do const auto data equals audio file dot as data. So this will give us a span, so a non-owning view over the data. And then I think we just need to start parsing out some of this gubbins. So let's start at the start. I think we basically want to. It seemed to start that again. It seemed to suggest there was but one chunk. Just once our desired chunk is found. So I guess we just copy up this find chunk nonsense. Yeah, I just launch it straight from the WSL hole and it all kind of works. What am I trying to do? I feel like I need ranges for this, right? Don't I just want to find where that magical 4-byte thing is? Sync. So my what did it say I wanted? I wanted the for the riff, so that's FFIR. So const stirred int 8t needle equals f I R. Yeah, let me do that. Yeah, okay, fine. And then const auto found equals stirred ranges search. Which way around is it? Source range. So I want to search for data and needle. Yes, sorry, you're right. Good spot. Because I'm not reading them out as uint 32 T's. So why by then shouldn't need I might need a predicate. No, I might need a yeah. Do I need a predicate? Because it can't. Stud spans aren't equatable. What's the error on that? Ugh, gross. Oh, there's one of these a byte. Fine. Oh, it's not like that, is it? Not going like that at all. Just bring in that header while I'm here. These to def. I think I actually want. Is it an algorithm searches? Yeah, here it is. There you go. I was just missing the header file. Nice. Can I just slap the raw audio into the X audio structs? I think is my question. Like what if you convert it? What does converting it to raw audio with FFmpeg look like? Because you might be right, but I'm just going off the semi-excellent guide I've been given. So ensure that found doesn't equal to stirred ranges cend data, otherwise could not find riff chunk. Oh no, what does it return? It returns something strange, doesn't it? It's a sub-range. So in fact, actually, I need to ensure found dot empty. Could not. In fact, let's name this better. So this is the chunk, right? So if the, it's actually the chunk header, isn't it? Get there in a minute. The chunk header is not only could not find ref chunk. Just check that works. Could even work. Could even work. Nailed it. Okay, so after I've found the chunk, just at the far points at the beginning, let's read the data from a chunk. Once it's found, might look like this. So then I need to read the next 4 bytes after that for the size, and then read that many bytes, I believe. So let's do const auto header offset equals stirred ranges distance between stirred ranges C begin data and chunk header. Oh, nope, not that. Dot. Sorry. Stirred ranges C begin chunk header. I think that's right. And then I want const auto size span equals data dot subspan, and then that will be I suppose, do I even need that? Or I could just add stirred uint h2t auto stirred uint h2t chunk size, and then stirred mem copy. What am I doing here? Into the chunk size from data.classic plus header offset. Do I even need that? Do I even need to do this? Can I just do stirred address of? Is that right? I'm second guessing myself now. Sorry, I was in the zone there. I wasn't really paying attention. I don't think that's right. I guess that doesn't actually make any sense. Let's just do it. I'll just do it the way I was doing it, because at least I'm kind of a little bit happy with that. So from all the file data dot data plus the header offset. Oh, bloody hell, why can I not type this? Size of chunk size. Okay, so I should get the chunk size, and then I should be able to do const auto chunk data equals third span of data plus header offset plus size of chunk size, and then chunk size bytes. I will. Am I loading the music in the routine direct? That's what I'm trying to do now. I'm trying to load the music. I mean, I've read it off disk. Is the header offset before or after? I thought the riff needle was the header. Because you read the type and then the size, so they are after each other. So once you've found, and then you're checking the chunk type against this, and once you've found this, because the offset of the data is 2 D words afterwards. So I think that's right. Because then to read the chunk size, Oh, I see what you mean. Yes, you're right. That is a good point. Actually, I want plus size of well, actually, I guess 10 to be super correct. I would want chunk header dot size plus that, and then so ensure throws an exception if it fails. So it's for validating sort of wide contracts. Basically, I'll use ensure if any data is coming in that I don't trust. If it's kind of just part of the internal machinery where there's a narrow contract and I care less and it's got more of a courtesy to the caller, then I'll use expect, which is my version of assert. Size was correct before. So this gets you the start of the riff. So we need to take the data, go past. Yeah, in fact, actually, this should I think for clarity, this should be header off. Jesus Christ, header offset there. I think that's semantically clearer. So we start at the data, we go to the start of the header, and then we go past the header size. And then for here, we go to the data, go to the header size, plus the chunk size, plus then the size of the the chunk size itself. Then we read it in. Okay, I think that's fine. Yeah, it's just my terrible code. So we've got the chunk data, and then what do we do with it? So we could read chunk data, got that. Locate the format chunk and copy its contents into wave format. So we need to find chunk 4ccmmt. Oh, I see. This passes in. Oh, right. Okay, fine. So this finds the riff chunk and gets the riff data. Reads the chunk data. This then, so we need, right, so we do need to do this multiple times. Yeah, we'll tidy this up, I think. In fact, it might even be worth tidying it up now. because we need to do this several times. Why do we... It's kind of annoying using file reads. I find this slightly harder to parse in my head. Because where is this, at the point where it calls this, where is the file data? How am I going to implement spatial audio? Carefully. Probably using, I think Xaudio 2 supports it if we can just get past this nonsense. Oh, wait a minute, doesn't this... This sets it back to the beginning. Okay, fine. So this always reverts to it. So it pulls out those 3 bits of data. Okay. Then what does it do with it? What does it do with each of those individually? So you get this reason to the file type. Oh, it just... What's the WFX when it's at home? Oh, so it literally just copies this straight out. So you right, the raw audio is that. So this just smashes that straight into the WFX variable. And then find chunk data. Create a... Oh, then just, okay, just copy that, get that raw data out. And then oh, this is just for sanity checking. It's a WAV file. Interesting. Okay, so the RIF data literally just contains file type, which we assert. So I'm probably going to skip that because I suppose we could check it. Well, we should actually sanity check it to check the file was converted correctly. Okay, I understand it now. We pull out the RIF bit, which gives us the file type, which checks it's a WAV file. We then pull out the format chunk and slap that straight into a variable. And then we pull out the data chunk, dynamically allocate, I mean, we'll use a vector, that data. And then in the buffer, we construct that with the chunk size, that pointed, that data, and the flags. Oh, who owns this? Who? We'll keep an eye on that. Like who? Yeah, but like this is nude, right? What was if I stack allocated this? What was if I used a custom allocator? Like there's nothing in here that says this has to be nude, right? What was that field called? P audio data. Pointer to the audio data. Thanks. I guess it's up to me to maintain that. Yeah, I guess I own it. So I'm just be aware. Because I'm going to stick it in a vector. I just got to be careful that that could go out of scope. Once I've played it, whatever. It's okay. Okay, so let's do chunk. This is what effectively I want to read chunks of data. So this will have a stud. In fact, actually, I suppose we could just give it a better name. Stud span const stud byte data. Do you actually need anything else than that? Looking at this, like I just. And then we just want something like auto pass chunk from a const stud. Nope, no, not even that. Stud byte const byte source std byte const byte. What's it? It's like name. They call it the 4cc, but I really don't like that as a. I find that a very confusing name. Control code. And that'll give us a chunk. Let's start writing this out, and then we'll see where we get to. Why have I got so many bytes? Okay, so now we can take a bunch of this and just move this up into here. Needle goes away because that's now called control code. Data is source and control code. Could not find control code in chunk. Source. Game, ensure that, get the header offset, get that, get chunk size, source that. Should it be a template to pass out the individual data that I want? I'm just saying. I might not need this. We'll need to do something funky when it's a vector, like to pass out the raw bytes. But for the first two, we should be able to do, assuming it's default constructible, we should be able to do auto result equals t, and then just like std mem copy into result chunk data dot data chunk data dot size, and then actually we can ensure that chunk data dot size is equal to size of t. I did say that some of the structs might be a different size. Let's do chunk data size is greater than or equal to the size of t. No. The amount of data we've got will fit at least into that. Nope, it's just, sorry, ignore me. What I want actually is, I know it's the same, but just to be size bytes, just to be super strict on that. Probably want that there as well. Oh no, wait a minute. Nope, ignore me. That's fine. No, because chunk header is the result of the ranges, so I think that's fine. So we get the data, and then we'll do. So let's go back to this. So we want the. Where do they call this? So they. So const auto file, what am I doing? File type equals parse chunk. They've shoved this into a D word. Might as well use their source, and then I don't think I can inline this. Oh, okay. Or it's just choking at the first error. I suppose that's an initializer list, isn't it? So stood span. I've been through this before. That's fine. We can do const auto ref control code equals stood span stood byte. But actually, we could maybe make it. No, we just need to make it an array, don't we? Const stood byte refcc equals this stupid game again. Brackets. Oh, hang on, you're right. I don't know how C++ syntax works. And then I should be able to ensure that what does it want? WAVE, presumably. It won't be a D-word pointer because if you look at the way they do it, and I'm trying to mimic it, they give it an out pointer to write to and shove it straight in that, which I think I've effectively emulated by reading out the object too small for data. Because I get the span over the data, and then I just mem copy that data straight in over this object. Yes, exactly. I'm currently pulling it by object because out of the three things I need to do, two of them are straight into objects and the third one's a pointer, so I'll special case that. A B F R E. Okay, and then I should be able to ensure stood ranges. No, actually, I think I should be able to just. I just want that as hex, right? I should be able to just do that manually. So this should ensure file type equals OX 45, 56, 41, 57, which is way backwards in ASCII, I think. Incorrect file type. See if that works. I don't think we'll be playing audio today, but I might be able to at least pass these chunks. I will pull that hard-coded value out into a named variable. I just wanted to check it works first. Y chunk data dot size byte size of t. Indeed, object too small. It'd be interesting to know why. Oh, that's a bit of an offset. That's a bit of an error. Why is my chunk data so really massive? I'm concerned this is wrong. Oh no, it is right. I do go from the haystack to the beginning of the found. So that's from the source to the beginning of the chunk header. And then massive chunk, and then get the chunk size. It's got to be this chunk size is wrong. It should just be 4. Because that's all their code does. It just writes to a dword pointer, but nothing checks that size other than just the size you get here. Even 32T is just a fixed width integer type, so it's just guaranteed to be unsigned and 32 bits. Which it said I want to be reading in 4 bytes, assuming 8 bits in a byte. I think you can hopefully give me that. But it's definitely found it, right? Otherwise this would fail. Found. It's found riff. It's got an offset to that, and then for the size, it's going from the start of the data, go to the start of the header, plus the chunk size, which should be the same as the, I think we need to add some logging here. Let's just go down here and put this here. Chunk size. What was it not like about that? Shouldn't the ensure compare size? Oh, yes. No, none of these should be... None of these are custom types, right? Chunk header is a uint and header offset is a size t. Unless I just generally need it for my terrible code. Which I don't think is right. Why is that? It could just be clang D. Nope. Really don't want to faff around with this too much. Pass is not a member of stored format. For which type? Which I suppose I'm trying to figure out which one it doesn't like. I'm gonna not think too hard about that because it means there's another bug in my logging library, which I really don't want to worry about now. Oh, did I? Oh, okay, fine. So header offset is 0, so it's saying it's the first thing in the file. Can I exit the assets main theme? I instantly regret that. Okay, so riff is there. 3, 4. And then that'll be the size, so it's pretty big. But then it should be reading WAVE, so that is there. Where am I? Oh, yes, you're right. I see. Yes, actually, I see what the issue is. Yeah, I'm pulling the whole chunk in, but I actually just want to be pulling off the first that many bytes. Uh, yes, I. Okay, that makes sense. You're right. I could pull the whole chunk out and then repass that in to check wave. I think that is cleaner. No, I think what I want. What do I want to do? I want to. Yeah, that's what I want to do. Okay, fine. So I think I don't want this to be templated. I think I want to make that the caller's responsibility to do whatever miserable casting they want to do. I think I want this to be a constant byte span. And then return that. You're saying it's better because I've removed the templates. So this will get riff chunk. And then I want to do wave CC will be wave chunk will be from the riff chunk. There we go. Get the wave CC. And that will just error if it can't find it. So then once we've got that within the wave chunk, I think we want to find the format chunk. I do feel like there's some template magic somewhere to convert a compile time string into a runtime array of the single bytes. I feel like that's not time tonight, but maybe maybe in the future we can tie that up. Oh, is it a space? Thank you. And then const auto format chunk equals pass. I guess it doesn't really matter whether we do it from the full one, but I feel like these things are. No, I want to go from the. And then finally, I want the data chunk. So is the data chunk also the data chunk's also going to be in the WAV one, isn't it? And this is lowercase. just check that blends. Yeah, okay, right. I think we need that. And then I can just mem copy those things wherever they need to go. Or not. I just crashed. On the second one. Nice. Okay, let's see if I can. So we can figure out what's going on here. What do you mean just exited with code 0? No, it's just the way I've coded it up. It was just the way my brain kind of sort of naturally arrived at the problem. Also it is the way the Windows their sample does as well. They always reset to the beginning of the file and search for it. I think it keeps the code slightly cleaner because then I don't have to maintain state around iterating. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It's just what I've ended up with. Why is this? Oh, because I need to run it from here now, don't I? Why is it not in the workspace folder? I have the assets, so why is that? Build source debug game. Oh, then that needs to be build. Suppose I could check my make file. It's looking a little bit better. Okay, here we go. Okay, so one of these must be massively as. It's not going to be the control code. So the source is pretty. Why is that crashing? It definitely doesn't like that line, but I'm pretty sure the source is legit. It's pretty big. It's got a lot of bytes in it. Yeah, source is just a span over the read file data, which is still live. It's not gone out of scope yet. Which specifically from this one here. What if we it's not great, but what if we just pass the whole thing again? this shouldn't work, but in the same way that the other one should have worked. So who knows? If this does work, it's a little bit concerning. That is concerning. Why? The chunk must be ill-formed. It must run off into uninitialized memory or something, or hit a page fault. Yeah, but like, search doesn't crash if it can't find it. Search will return you an empty object, right? An empty range. So that must mean the input is wrong. So what did it think the chunk size was? I mean, it does think that chunk size is pretty big. And that is, whoa, that's ASCII, isn't it? 6660 That's, that chunk size is wrong. That chunk size is format, isn't it? Yeah, maybe this is just inherently wrong way of doing it. Well, I'm kind of okay with that. I think I'm going to wrap this up here. Let me just quickly comment this up. So, start of wave passing. Stream 73, guys. Stick that in the git hole. Right, before everyone disappears. Yeah, you might. Yes, you're probably right. Actually, it's probably not in there, and then it's misinterpreting. Yes, okay, fine. Okay, that makes sense. Oh, I've got to update the bump. I'm not going to bump the version because this is not really adding much anyway. We're having a community challenge at the moment on Discord. So there's a game that is broken. It crashes. There's a save file and like quite easy instructions from loading that save file to get it to crash. Come along and give it a go. There's prizes. There's bragging rights. As in like there's like a unique Discord role. So yeah, you should definitely come along to Discord and have a look at that. It's cool. The game is on Steam for 79 pennies or whatever your equivalent is. If you have any issue getting hold of a copy, feel free to DM me on Discord and I will try and gift you one. But yeah, we've already had one submission. I have quote unquote fixed it, but I will be doing a video on it. But the sort of the winners, it's not a race to be the first. It's more of a quality of submission. But you get a shout out in a video, which would be cool. And then I will do a video on what like I think my fix is, and then it'd be kind of cool to see what everyone else's fix is. Rasmus, this is all dynamically allocated. Well, technically the file is mapped into memory, so it's all on effectively, it's just paged in memory. And then I just have like non-owning views, like just spans over that data. So it's just a pointer and a size. And when I construct the span from one of them, I misinterpreted the data basically, which is why it went off into over bad data. Well, technically the content's already done. I did make sure that I had solved it before I announced the challenge, so don't be thinking I crowdsource everyone for my spell checks. That's about as far as it goes. Cool. Okay. Hope everyone had fun. Wednesday, we'll do it again. We'll do some more audio. We'll get it done. We'll get some stuff playing. It'll be sweet. We'll finish smashing data into the X Audio API. We'll battle com. We'll have a grand time of it. I'm ignoring that. Okay. Catch you later. See you Wednesday.